Welcome to D18-Foto. My name is Dennis18. Today we're going to do a little show and tell. I just collect all my toy cameras and put them all in one spot, just to give you an idea of what my collection looks like. First of all, let's start with the Diana. Diana is basically this thing. It's a medium format camera made totally out of plastic. There's nothing much to it, it's just one shutter speed. You got instant, which is basically around 1/100th of a second. You got bulb mode, which is quite cool to use. No tripod socket though, so you have to find a flat surface, put the camera on, and it's a bit top heavy, so it kind of tumbles over every now and then, so you gotta be careful with that. And you got two apertures, cloudy settings, partly cloudy, and sunny setting right here on the bottom. In which what this does basically is just a piece of plastic with a hole in it, moves in front of the lens, or just behind the lens actually, and that's in more or less light. You got a crude focusing system, which is right here in front. You just twist the lens, and you got 3 steps basically from 4 feet to 6 feet, 6 feet to 12 feet, and 12 feet to infinity. That's all you can actually do with this thing. And then you have a film advance. Basically, this is the first or the first known models of toy cameras. Basically, the Diana from the 1960s. Let's put that to the side. And from the Diana, you have a bunch of Diana clones, basically, which are actually just the same camera. They look a bit different, but mostly it's the same camera design. It's the original Diana's on top. And you have 2 more, which basically have almost the same features, but have different nameplates. This one is called the Vloggen RF, and this one's called the Rand camera. Every single one of these, even though they look the same, take totally different kinds of pictures. Some have out of focus areas, some are really blurry. The colors are all over the place, so it's really cool to play with these things. And if you can pick them up for cheap on eBay, just make sure that you don't overpay for them, because these things are old, but they're definitely not collectible items. So sometimes people charge about $100 for them, and that's really weird, because these things are, I mean, come on, it's plastic. So then you have another one which looks almost identical. Let's see if we get this free. This is the original Diana, and this is the Diana F Plus, which is basically a newer version of the old one. The F stands for flash, and the Plus tells us that this thing is made by lomography. It has a few extra features. It has a tripod socket at the bottom. The cool thing with this thing is that it actually has a pinhole setting, which is really cool, because you can actually use this thing as a pinhole. You just take off the lens, just turn it and pull it off, and you have a pinhole. The 60s, with the pure Diana models, you move on to something which is a bit more sophisticated, which are basically these things. They were called the Diana Deluxe cameras, and there also were a bunch of different clones. This one is the German model. They look different, but again, as you can see, they only have 3 aperture settings. Then you actually can see the lens move in and out as it focuses. It has 1 shutter speed, no bulb setting on this thing, and you have a hot shoe on top, which is really cool. Basically, so this is a clone of the Diana Deluxe, which I don't have, but this is another one. It's called the Dana, and this one's called the Post Happy. Both basically the same cameras. Again, lenses are totally weird, totally different. This one has light leaks, which are so bad that you have to tape the whole thing up and still light gets in. So if you want the really hardcore toy camera look, this one's for you. If you want just a standard, soft focus, dreamy look, this is the one for you. Now, moving on to the 1980s. Let's start with this one. I've got a bunch of them right here in front of me. They're all different as well. Let's start with this one. This is basically the original, the basic Holgar camera. Again, plastic lens. It has 1 shutter speed. You got it. It's right here on the side. Got a hot shoe on top, which is quite cool. And you have an aperture setting up here. Cloudy and flash and sunny. Funny thing is, with these old things, this little switch was not hooked up to anything. It doesn't do anything. The focusing mechanism up here is again scale focus, and you just twist the lens. You got a little symbol of one guy, a small group of people, a bigger group of people, and a mountain, which is infinite. Focusing with this thing is basically guesswork. What I always do is I turn it to close and move into my subject, or pull it all the way to infinity and move back. That's basically the easiest way to do it. The 120 stands for medium format film. As with the Dianas, it's a medium format system. Just let me take off the back. You can look inside. Basically, that's all there is. You put the film on one side, pull it over here, put it onto this taking spool, and then twist the knob. And on the back, you have a little window with red plastic in it, so you can actually read the numbers on the back of the film, so you can just move on to the next frame. These Holgas are all, they all have plastic lenses, really crude meniscus lenses. This is one of the first ones. They don't have a tripod socket and they don't have a bulb setting. So this is basically the first one. And then you have a few improvements with newer models. Let me pick up one of these, which is basically the next step. It's the 120 SF. The S is the oldest one. SF is the next step. Basically, it has a flash in it. You can turn it on the back. There's a little switch here, and then the battery charges, and you can fire the shutter. And this thing takes two AA batteries. Cool thing. Again, no tripod socket down here, and no switch for bulb setting. Moving on to the newer models, it's the 120FN. This one is the SF. The F in both cases stands for flash. This is the older one, this is the new one. They look exactly the same. But this one actually has an aperture setting on top, which actually does something. F8, F11, somewhere on there. And down here you have a little switch, which is a new addition. N for normal and B for bulb. And you got a tripod socket here, which helps you when you do long exposures. Let's put that over here. And then there's this one, which is called the Pinhole Holga, the 120 PC Pinhole camera Holga. Again, takes medium format film. From the inside, it looks exactly the same. The shutter is a bit different because there's no instant mode. It just has a bulb mode. As long as you push down on this little button on the side here, this lever, as long as you hold it down, the whole thing is open. And it has an aperture of f192, which is quite small. So cool thing. You get this little exposure chart on the back, which is supposed to help you how long you should keep the whole thing open. I never really use this thing. What I do is I use my iPhone. It has a little app on it, a pinhole meter, and they meter the scene. And another Holga, this one, the green Holga, the ugly green camera. It looks so weird and so ugly, but it looks also so cool. I bought this one at Lomography, but it's not made by Lomography. They just distribute it. It's also made by the Holga company. It's called the 120 CFN. F, of course, again, you got the flash. N stands for normal, I guess, and C stands for color. Top plate here, you have this little wind knob, and what that does is it moves little plastic gels in front of the flash. You got orange, red, just clear, and blue, which is really cool because you can just bathe your scene in a different color, which makes it's a lot of fun. This one's cool because all the other Holgas and Dianas, apart from the pinhole thing, of course, because it doesn't have a lens, were all plastic lens cameras. This one actually has a glass lens. Really cool. It's called the 120GN. G stands for glass. Otherwise, it's exactly the same camera. What do we have here? This one. This is actually a real toy camera. This is something kids play with. You can buy these for really cheap on eBay because nobody actually hands cameras like this to their kids because they use film. This is really cool. 35mm film goes in here. You got a 3-step system. You can wind the film. Has a little 1 on here. Then you look through the whole thing. It has a 2, and then you press the button, which is a 3. Really cool. That's all you have to know about this camera. There's no focusing or apertures or anything. What it actually has, which is cool, is this little smiley face. This is one of my favorite cameras to walk around with because especially adults look really funny at you when you walk around with the kids' camera like that. If you're not really into looking weird, it's not your camera. Find some of the other ones, but they look weird as well. So I guess it's a kind of playful thing, and if you use a toy camera, you should have some kind of humor. Otherwise, you better find something else to shoot with because these things definitely draw attention. This is the last one I wanted to show you, which is something I found on eBay. They were sold via TV commercials, home shopping channels and things like that, as seen on TV. It actually says so on the box. It's the Nippon 35 focus-free with electronic flash, which is really cool because the thing comes in a whole set. See, all the things you need. You got the little camera, which basically is just a box with 1 shutter speed. There's no switching of apertures. It has all the scales up here, but there's nothing actually moving. It's just something, it looks cool. And then you have a rewind knob on the side here to rewind your film. And you have a hot shoe up here, which is cool because that actually works. And back here you just crank on the film to the next. And then you got it release right here. You got a little lens hood, which is cool, but totally useless, but looks cool. And then you have your little flash up here, which you can just put up on this camera on top on the hot shoe. Seems to be ready. Ha! Cool thing. And we got a little lens cap here, and what else do we have? Got a little pouch where we can put this camera in. So this is really cool. Weird thing. But it looks like a real camera, so it probably won't draw that much attention, but it's just one lens with supposedly a 50mm focal length and 6.3 aperture. I don't know if that is true, no idea. Basically, this is all I wanted to show you. These are my toy cameras, my little toy camera collection. I personally love the aesthetics of toy cameras. They're imperfect, they're weird looking, the colors are strange, the focus areas and in focus and out of focus areas are so weird, but I just love the aesthetics. I just like looking at toy camera pictures. If you do so as well, please leave me comments down here at the YouTube channel. Find the subscribe button, click on it if you'd be so kind, and tell your friends about what we do here, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye, my name is Dennis18 and this is D18-Foto.